皆様、こんにちは。Good afternoon or good morning to our viewers in Europe. 私、ゲオクレアが皆様にようこそを申し上げます。本日もまた NRW.Global Business Online Series NRW Cities and Regions ドイツと欧州でのビジネスこの地でスタートというイベントにご参加ありがとうございました。私、ゲオクレアは NRW.Global Business Japan の代表をしております。こちらの東京のスタジオから皆さんと一緒に1時間をお過ごしさせていただきます。それでは、すでにご存知の方いらっしゃるかと思いますが、私どもノートライン・ウェストファーレン州は東京都と一緒に今年の5月31日に新しいコーポレーションプロジェクトを発足させました。東京都の地域間経済交流事業として、ノートライン・ウェストファーレン州と東京都との間で、特に中小企業を対象にスタートアップを含めて、東京からノートライン・ウェストファーレン州にビジネスを展開する企業様をサポートさせていただきたいと思います。逆に、ノートライン・ウェストファーレン州から東京都にビジネスを展開したいノートライン・ウェストファーレン州の企業もこれからサポートさせていただきます。詳細はこの右上のウェブサイトでご覧になれます。さて、ノートライン・ウェストファーレン州の中から6つの都市と1つの地域がこのプログラムに参画してくださっています。で今まではアーヘン、ボーホム、デュッセルドルフ、ケルン、エッセンのお話を賜りました。あと2つのところを訪ねていきたいと考えております。そこで本日はクレフェルド市を訪ねます。右にご覧になるのはクレフェルドの素晴らしい視聴者でございます。さて、本日のプログラムでございますが、日本語でご案内させていただきます。最初はいつもと同じように、アストリッド・ベッカー、NRW.Global Business のアジア・オーストラリア部長にご挨拶賜りたいと思います。それから続きまして、クレイフェルド経済振興公社同志経済デジタル国際関係部マネージングダイレクターのエカート・プレーン様にご講演いただきたいと思います。その後 Q&A セッションで皆さんのご質問などに答えと思います。さて、Zoom の機能でございますが、いつものようですけれども、ご質問は Q&A ボタンを使って出していただければと思います。後ほどディスカッションに参加される方は、手を挙げてください。そして技術的な問題があった場合は、 チャットファンクションを使ってください。私どものスタッフは対応させていただきます。で、本日も毎回同様に通訳の専門家がサポートしてくださるので、その自分の言語、日本語か英語をどちらかをお選びくださいませ。さて、まずは皆さんにご挨拶をしたいと思いますので、このプレゼンテーションを一回ストップして、So, I would like to welcome our speakers from today, Ms. Becker and Mr. Prehn. If you could just kindly show yourself. Welcome to today's event. We are very happy to have you here and hear about Krefeld and its impressive show of Japanese customers and companies you have in the area. And it's wonderful to see you again, Mr. Prehn. We have met in Japan together with your mayor, Frank Meyer. And so great to have you on board. But first of all, let's have the greetings from Ms. Becker. Becker-san, どうぞよろしくお願いします。
どうもありがとうございます。Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to Tokyo from North Rhine-Westphalia, again, I could say. Thank you very much for joining this seminar of our NRW Cities and Regions series. We hope that with our seminars, we can give a good impression of the welcoming culture for Japanese small and middle enterprises and the high potential of business opportunities in North Rhine-Westphalia. Today, we want to introduce a rather special destination in comparison to the so far presented cities, the city of Krefeld. Krefeld in size cannot be compared to the large metropolises. However, as business location, it has much to offer as regards diversity of industries, productivity, business support, and location advantages. Krefeld ranks 14th among the major cities in North Rhine-Westphalia with a population of about 230,000 inhabitants. The city is located right at the crossing point of the Rhine-Ruhr metropolitan region to its west, across the river Rhine, and the Rhineland metropolitan region to the south, including the city of Cologne. The city thus benefits from two very important economic regions, and in addition is very well connected to the trade routes to the Netherlands and Western Europe. Needless to say that business relations with the Netherlands are thriving. Textile production made Krefeld one of the richest cities up to the 19th century. In the 20th century, steel production and the chemical industry gained importance. In the 21st century, we see, of course, the rise of ITC and digital solutions. However, the roots of textile industry are not completely forgotten. With a view to the growing demand of industrial textiles and sustainable fibers in recent years, this could evolve again as the basis for a flourishing business sector of the future. Today, Krefeld's economy is dominated primarily by the chemical industry, mechanical and plant engineering, and the metal industry. The chemical industry is represented by several German big players and has a focus in plastics and polymers. Thanks to its convenient location, the city has also established itself as a logistics location. Düsseldorf International Airport is only 20 minutes away, which makes Krefeld attractive for numerous companies who want to run their European-wide business from here. Krefeld is also located as a crossing point of major trans-European highways from west to east and from south to north, allowing very efficient truck logistics. In addition, several industrial harbors on the Rhine ensure the connection to the seaport of Rotterdam and the waterways network as far as the Black Sea in the south. So it is right to say that Krefeld has to offer something for all business needs. Even the need of qualified workforce is well taken care of by the Niederrhein University of Applied Sciences. The university covers an impressive range of research areas, including functional surfaces, applied health and nutrition research, IT, logistics concepts, innovative products and process design, as well as social and economic innovations and energy efficiency. There are currently 9 research institutes and 14 competence centers at the Niederrhein University of Applied Sciences. Their application-oriented research is carried out across departments. The success of the university can be recognized in the research funding. In 2020, the university acquired third-party research funds totaling 9.6 million euros. The lion's share of the sum, namely 8.6 million euros, came from publicly funded projects for joint university industry research. Funding for these projects derived from programs of the European Union, the German federal government, or the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. However, 1 million euros of funds were raised by research for 61 projects of small and middle enterprises. This points to the fact that joint research projects with the Niederrhein University are very attractive options also for smaller companies. I hope that with my short introduction, I could raise your curiosity for the following more detailed presentation, and now would like to hand back to Mr. Löer. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, Becker-san, thank you so much for these greetings and first overview, so that we can now go into the details and hear a lot more about Krefeld from Mr. Prehn. Mr. Prehn, the floor is yours, and I will turn off my video also, but please keep yours on, and I will share my screen, and just let me know when you want to move ahead. Just a second. So, the floor is yours.
Konnichiwa, and good afternoon from Krefeld to all of you. I'm very pleased to meet you virtually today and personally in the not too distant future, I hope. So, let me first introduce myself. My name is Eckhard Prehn. I'm the Managing Director of the Krefeld Business Development Agency. And I'm going to present you the business location Krefeld, and I'm going to start with a geographical position. Click. So as you can see, Krefeld, like North Rhine-Westphalia as a whole, is located right in the heart of Europe, very close to the European metropolises like Brussels, but also Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and the capital, the financial capital, Frankfurt. But it's also quite close to Paris and London, and Berlin is about 600 kilometers away from Krefeld. And it's 9,315 kilometers to Tokyo. And as I will show you later on, we have made this trip several times in the past. Well, Krefeld can really be regarded as a regional economic powerhouse, especially thanks to the vicinity to major cities and its excellent transport links, especially by road, different motorways, and but also thanks to the vicinity to some of the region's airports, especially the Düsseldorf International Airport, as you can see from the next slide. Click. The airport Düsseldorf is the third largest airport in Germany, and it covers more than 200 destinations in 52 different countries. And it also has daily flights to Japan. So when we went there in the past, we always had a direct flight from Tokyo back to Düsseldorf. Click. But Krefeld is also conveniently connected by road, rail, and also by the river, the Rhine port Krefeld, as Mrs. Becker already pointed out. So Krefeld is one of the cities directly located on the banks of the River Rhine. But we also have a very good rail transport to all the major cities, including Aachen, Cologne, and Düsseldorf, all the cities that you have already heard about in the last couple of days. Click. So here is an aerial view of the Rhine port Krefeld, and as you can see, it's really an industrial port surrounded by some very important companies like ThyssenKrupp, but also Amazon has a large warehouse, and there are some other logistics companies and industrial companies as well, like Cargill from the USA and some others. Click. Well, as Mrs. Becker already emphasized, Krefeld is really characterized by the textile industry, or at least the economic history of Krefeld is characterized by textiles. Krefeld is still called the city like silk and velvet. And there are still some companies in our city which produce ties. But nowadays, it's more the technical fabrics which are produced in some Krefeld-based companies. And they are even used for the roofs of football stadiums. On this photo on the right, you can see the World Cup Stadium in Cape Town, South Africa, where technical fabrics from a Krefeld-based company was used. I could also show you other stadiums like Johannesburg or some places in Germany like Berlin and Hamburg where this also happened. So Krefeld's successful historical legacy is rooted in the textile industry. But as you can see from the next slide, nowadays it's rather the chemical industry which dominates the economy in our city. But this also has to do a lot with the textile past, because it was the coloring of textile fabrics in the 19th century which resulted in the establishment of the first chemical companies. And nowadays we have some global players like Covestro and Lanxess, and also Henkel and Evonik, which are all represented in Krefeld, although their headquarters are in the neighboring cities of Cologne, Leverkusen, and Düsseldorf and Essen. Here you can also have an aerial view of the Chem Park in Krefeld-Uerdingen. But yes, there are also some other very well-known industrial brands in our city. I already mentioned ThyssenKrupp Steel, and another one is Simpelkamp, which is a Krefeld-based company doing worldwide business, also with important production facilities in China and the USA. But maybe the most important company is Siemens Mobility, because they construct high-speed trains, which are used worldwide, especially in Germany by the Deutsche Bahn, the German railway. They have their intercity express trains produced in Krefeld, and therefore the Siemens Mobility plant in Krefeld-Uerdingen is one of the most important ones in that group, with about 2,500 employees. Click. Here you have an overview of the global companies in Krefeld, and there are numerous companies doing worldwide business. Also some German companies like Siemens, which I already mentioned, and Evonik, but also companies from many other countries, including the USA, with Expeditors, Interface, and Cargill, and also from many European countries, but especially from Japan. You will already have noticed some of the logos of those world-renowned brands like Canon and Shimano and THK and Tamasu Butterfly or Kawai, and I will come back to that with the next slide. Click. The next slide shows you the most international business location within the city of Krefeld. That's the so-called Europark Fichtenhain, which is located very close to the motorway A44. And that's a very important motorway because it links our city to the Düsseldorf airport in about 15 minutes. And so it is very close, even closer to the airport than most parts of Düsseldorf itself. And it's also close to the Düsseldorf fairgrounds. And as you can see on this slide, about half of the Japanese companies in Krefeld are based in the Europark Fichtenhain, especially the German headquarters of Canon, the European headquarters of Kawai. I'm sure you will also know that world-famous piano producer, and they have the European headquarters in Krefeld, and since the late 1990s. Canon was established in Krefeld in 1995, and even before that, in 1989, there was the first establishment of a Japanese company in Krefeld, which is Okuma from Nagoya. We also have Hitachi High Technologies in the Europark Fichtenhain, and in recent years we had some new settlements as well. Tamasu Butterfly came to Krefeld in 2015, and GS Yuasa even more recently, that was only 2 years ago. So you can see there are still some movement, there are still some companies from Japan coming to Krefeld even in recent years. I could also mention Mitsubishi, which came to Krefeld-Uerdingen with a small subsidiary about 6 years ago. And we also have ASICS with a large warehouse, and they came in 2014. Click. So it's largely because of all those Japanese companies that we visited Japan quite regularly over the last 20 years or so. These photos were made in 2018 when we visited Tokyo and Hamamatsu, and on the photo on the right, you can see our mayor, Mr. Frank Meyer, and surrounded by our Japanese hosts in Hamamatsu, where we also visited the garden exhibition of the World Exhibition in the approximately 15 years ago. And another photo is from the Canon Exhibition Center in Tokyo, which we also visited a couple of times over the last 10 years. And well, you can also see a slide of a presentation where our delegation with the Lord Mayor was welcomed in one of the companies that we visited. Well, in our region, education is very important because due to the demographic situation, we talk about a shortage of skilled personnel in well, almost the whole of Europe, and therefore educational institutes are particularly important. And in North Rhine-Westphalia, you find the highest density of universities in Europe, and some of them you will already have heard about over the last couple of days. when you saw the presentations of the cities of Aachen, Düsseldorf, or Cologne. Those universities, of course, are very important, but we also have international schools, which are very important also for the international companies represented in our region and where they can send their children to. And so there is the International School on the Rhine, which should also be mentioned. In the city of Krefeld itself, we have a University of Applied Sciences called Hochschule Niederrhein, with slightly less than 15,000 students, and some of the most important faculties are based here in Krefeld. Most of the technical faculties like industrial engineering, electrical engineering and computer science, and also mechanical and process engineering, and also chemistry, of course. Well, this comes to no surprise, as Krefeld is one of the most important chemical locations in our country, as I already pointed out before. But we also have the design faculty, and this is also quite important when I come to the next slide. And I can tell you something about architecture in Krefeld, because this has always been closely linked to the forerunner of our Hochschule Niederrhein and the design faculty, because over the last 80 years, 100 years approximately, there have been some very famous architects in Krefeld, especially Mies van der Rohe, one of the most important architects of the Bauhaus movement, which celebrated its 100th anniversary 2 years ago. And as you can see on the two photos on the left, this is a typical Bauhaus style, and both buildings, one of which, the above photo, is used for an art museum nowadays, and the other one is right in the middle of an industrial park. Both buildings were planned and constructed by Mies van der Rohe in the 1930s. Click. Well, as I mentioned before, Krefeld is right in the heart of the Rhineland, which is not only an economic powerhouse within Germany, but also a very particular region when it comes to joy of life and spending your leisure time in Germany. The Rhine area is definitely among the best renowned and most pleasant areas in Germany, as you can see from one of those, from all of these pictures. The carnival, especially, which with the Düsseldorf and Cologne as the two most important cities in Germany, but there is also a huge carnival in Krefeld every year. Last year, not because of the Corona crisis, but we hope that next year it'll be normal again and that people will be able to celebrate again. So there is a lot to do and also to see in this area, and we always present Krefeld as part of this very nice area, the Rhineland. You can also see it on the next slides. When we go ahead, there are some pictures of our neighboring cities, Cologne and yes, especially Cologne in this part. So Krefeld is only 1 hour by car or even 40 minutes by train away from Cologne, and even closer to Düsseldorf. So when Mrs. Becker said before that Krefeld maybe one of the smaller cities in this area with 230,000 inhabitants. It's above all part of this region with about 10 million inhabitants. And so we believe that this is a very densely populated and interesting area, which cannot only be restricted to the boundaries of one particular city. This is also true for sports, and I know that you in Japan are very much interested in sports, especially in football, and this is definitely the heart of German football. Within a range of 80 kilometers, you find 7 clubs playing in the first or second division, and most of them even regularly in the European competitions. You will certainly know Borussia Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Cologne, and also Schalke, although they have dropped to the second division for the first time in 30 years last summer, but will certainly make their way back to the first division quite soon. So if you visit us in Krefeld and in this area in North Rhine-Westphalia, I think you will already have noticed that there is a lot to do, to see. And well, if you visit us here in Krefeld, we can also accompany you to a nice sports event, which can be a football match in this region. But as you can see from the next slide, it could also be something very special, which is ice hockey. We have the Krefeld Penguins in ice hockey, and they are playing in the first division, the German Ice Hockey League, and always attract large crowds. And we are also very glad that the Corona crisis is almost over now, and that there are spectators again being admitted to our ice hockey arena. And so this is also something very special, which we can offer you for a visit in Krefeld for the leisure time. Next. Yes, and well, I know that many of you also appreciate German beer, which is definitely among the best and best renowned in the world. And we even have Germany's most beautiful beer garden in Krefeld. And this is not just a marketing slogan by the Business Development Agency, but it was really voted Germany's most beautiful beer garden 4 years ago, even before all the beer gardens in Bavaria, which are normally seen as the most important ones, but ours in the so-called Stadtwald, the city park, is definitely something special. So, well, I hope that I've raised your curiosity, and I already said before that today we are only meeting virtually, and that I really hope that in the not too distant future we shall be able to meet personally, and well, we can do that either in Tokyo or here in Krefeld. And I would be very pleased if that should be possible quite soon. And I think there is a lot to do and to see and to talk about here in Krefeld. And as you can see from the next slide, we also have an international desk at our Krefeld business unit, which can help you in many different issues when it comes to exploring the business location Krefeld, and maybe thinking about foreign direct investment, and even setting up a branch office here in Krefeld. We have our specialists for international affairs at KölnBusiness. And we even have, as you can see on this last slide, special center, which we call a WELCOMEKREFELD International Business Center. And here you can see all the persons, my 3 colleagues and me, who are active in the international desk and help you to find offices or flexible workspaces. And maybe for a start, you may even want to rent a single space in an office, and also get in touch with other international companies and do it in a very flexible way without having to think about long rental contracts. And for this purpose, our WELCOMEKREFELD International Business Center is certainly a very good option. And that's why we introduced it last year. And so this could also be something to talk about after this presentation, and when we meet, well, virtually or personally in Japan or in Germany. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm glad to answer your questions and discuss about the business development agency and the business location Krefeld with you now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Prehn-san, domo, arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you so much for this excellent presentation. It shows that Krefeld is really a highly attractive city. I was impressed when I visited the Fichtenhain area with the many Japanese companies there. I have never seen such a beautiful well, industrial park, and you have really top-class companies there from different areas, which I found very impressive. Also, Krefeld, I think, has a very interesting history with which kind of contributed to this very open mind, which is typical of Krefeld citizens, working with people from many countries, foreigners. So I strongly believe that Krefeld is an excellent location to do business from in North Rhine-Westphalia. And as you rightly said, the connections are very good, the connections to Düsseldorf Airport. Maybe you are even faster at the airport than from some areas in Düsseldorf, but also for those who want to take the last train from Düsseldorf, there is also a local train to take you home to Krefeld or take you into Düsseldorf. So very well connected, excellent location. And I think one should say this, especially at this time, we highly value your support, Mr. Prehn, Mr. Struve, and your colleagues from Krefeld, because working with you and your team has always been a great pleasure, because you understand the Japanese mentality, the Japanese way of thinking, doing business very well. And the testament is that you have a lot of Japanese companies in your area, no question. Yeah, so I would like to ask one question. I mean, Hochschule Niederrhein, I think this is a very important asset for you. Actually, we have one small project, if I may say so, with a graduate of the Hochschule Niederrhein, a young person called Maximilian Bergfried, who has studied food science, and he is now, he has developed a special product for Japan called Yoshi Nama Gin, which we will report about in one of our next newsletters. So keep a watch out for that. And we hope that also in Krefeld you will be able to drink it. But I think that is typical for the mentality, the startup mentality of the people in your area, that they study something and then they become entrepreneurs to offer an interesting product to which not only is good for business but is also where their heart is in. And so I think this is great. Also, I still have the wonderful tie I got from Lord Mayor when you last visited Japan. And I think this is really a very interesting bridge or large span between the high quality handmade made in Germany products and the high-tech technical solutions and offered like the stadium roofs and other companies. But I think also the food industry for our little friends is very important for Krefeld. In Japan, there are many dog lovers, and I hear that also one company, I think, exports some of its food to Japan. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about those companies.
Yes, I shall be glad to do this. I can address both aspects that you talked about. So concerning food lovers, we even have two very important companies in Krefeld. The bigger one is Fressnapf. They are the largest franchise company in Europe, and they are headquartered in Krefeld with more than 1,200 employees in the administration, and from there they administer a network of shops which is really represented all over Europe. In some countries with a different name, it's a Maxi Zoo, but it's certainly one of the most important companies for pet food and other pet articles, and they even have some extra large markets, one of which here in Krefeld, where pet lovers from the whole region come to find some new interesting items for their dogs and cats and other pets. But I would also like to come back to the other aspect that you talked about, which is a startup mentality and textiles, because only a couple of weeks ago we had the presentation of those companies that won a prize in our biannual Existence Founders competition, and the company that got the first rank is really a company in the clothing industry, which is very important because they produce sustainable clothing, which is biodegradable. And so you can see that textile and clothing is not just a thing of the past in Krefeld, but that nowadays it also includes those mega trends of the 21st century, one of which is sustainability. And this, I think, is also something that should be mentioned.
Yes, I think you have a very good combination of, for instance, the textile industry, the chemical industry, and the research. And as you said, these issues of sustainability, they won't go away. They will become more and more important over the next years. And here, I think you can really be at the forefront of new developments as Krefeld, and true to the spirit of your original entrepreneurs who built up the industry in Krefeld. Yes, but I think Krefeld. I mean, right now we read a lot about the supply chain issues in Europe. I mean, in the UK, the situation seems to be quite serious, but also in continental Europe, of course, due to e-commerce and the very sharp pickup of business we see these days, of course, supply chain issues are challenging. But you have a very good location to the Netherlands, so you are very close to the major hubs from where goods can be delivered to Germany. And you showed us your intermodal facilities, which offer the opportunity to deliver goods. Maybe you want to say one or two words about why Krefeld is also interesting from this point of view.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Krefeld, in fact, is very well connected, not just for people doing business trips and flying in with the international airport of Düsseldorf, being very close to our city, but also for the transport of goods. And as you were able to see from that aerial view of the Rhine port, we are located directly on the banks of the River Rhine, and therefore we are directly connected also to the large seaports of Rotterdam, Antwerp, Amsterdam, and therefore very well connected, and not only dependent on those supply chains by road, but also have those intermodal facilities and the opportunity of goods being delivered to Krefeld-based companies via the River Rhine and the seaports, which is very close to our city.
Yeah, we saw and heard that the company from Kyoto, GS Yuasa, whom we have also visited on several occasions, chose Krefeld as a location for its battery business in Germany and North Rhine-Westphalia. I mean, which industries would you like to see coming from Japan? Where would you like us to attract companies? I mean, of course, this event series is focused on the collaboration between Tokyo and North Rhine-Westphalia, and mainly on small and medium companies, which will certainly also have a good home in Krefeld. But beyond that, which industries or what kind of companies would you like us to bring to Krefeld?
Well, as I pointed out in my presentation, Krefeld is particularly strong in industrial fields such as chemical companies, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and so on. And it's not just a coincidence that at the University of Applied Sciences, the Hochschule Niederrhein, it is especially those industries which are represented in the different faculties. But we as business development agency do not particularly focus on a small number of industries. We are open towards companies from different industries, But when it comes to those mentioned before, we certainly have some particularly convenient locations, like the Chem Park in the northeastern part of Krefeld, where Covestro and Lanxess are based, and where there are still possibilities for international companies to set up a subsidiary, and also in the other chemical park of Evonik. But there is still another industrial park, not a chemical one, industrial park with companies from the metal sector and stainless steel. And there will be possibilities in large production facilities for production-based and logistics companies as well. So in this very densely populated area, we are still one of those locations where you can still find also larger spaces to set up a company. And this is certainly a difference to some of the other locations where this is already very difficult due to the restricted opportunity of industrial plots.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Well, I think we've looked at Krefeld from many different angles. I see that especially in this project, we have a lot of connections, different stakeholders coming together. And I just wanted to mention this time that the head of JETRO, Mr. Ueda, is also on this call today. I don't know whether he can hear us, but JETRO plays an extremely important role in supporting this program, if I may say so, because of course we work closely together with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and with NRW.Global Business in Düsseldorf, and also our Ministry of Economic Affairs is supporting us. But without the big support of JETRO and especially the head of JETRO, Mr. Dai Ueda, I think we would not be able to conduct this program. So I don't know, Ueda-san, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ueda-san.
Sorry to spontaneously ask you to join the discussion. But perhaps you could say one or two words about JETRO's role in this cooperation program, and what you think is important with regard to cooperating between smaller and medium-sized companies.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to present ourselves. We've been working closely together with NRW Japan and NRW.Global Business, supporting Japanese SMEs developing their business in Germany, NRW. And of course, the city of Krefeld is a very important partner, I think, for the Japanese small and medium-sized enterprises. And because of the current big transformation of the industry, which takes place both in Germany and in Japan, many Japanese small and medium enterprises see a big chance to develop their business with the German partners. And now they're contacting us, and of course, we're supported by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. And that is one reason that Tokyo Metropolitan Government started the initiative closely cooperating with NW. And as JETRO, we are happy to support this project. We've been engaged in supporting the Japanese SMEs expanding their business in Germany. And it will be my pleasure that we could deepen cooperation with the city of Krefeld also in the future. And it is very important to convey the attractiveness of the city to more Japanese SMEs. And at this point, I think that we can play some important role.
Yes. Ueda-san, thank you for this wonderful comment and a message of support for the cooperation. I think that especially this online event series shows that there are really many different very attractive areas in North Rhine-Westphalia. This time we are mainly focused on the western half of North Rhine-Westphalia, but there are also, of course, many other attractive areas. And as the leading economic area in Germany, we are, of course, I think, the best suited partner for Tokyo metropolitan government and for the Tokyo metropolitan area. And we should also expand this cooperation as we gather experience with how to deal with the different companies involved. And Mr. Brehn, I would also like to encourage you and your colleagues from Krefeld, also the Chamber of Commerce, since you know that we are now also supporting NRW companies in the direction of Japan. Please make them aware that we are available to support you and to give you market introductions, because we do have a very good network globally, actually, but also in Japan for many years. And yeah, so coming to a close of today's session, I would like to thank you once again, Mr. Brehn, also Ms. Becker, thank you once again. And yeah, would you like to make a short closing statement, Ms. Becker?
Yes, thank you very much. I would really like to express my thanks to Mr. Brehn for this really comprehensive presentation. And I think it confirms what I said in the beginning. Krefeld is a business location that has good offers for business opportunities for almost any business. Thank you very much.
So, thank both of you. Thank you, Ueda-san. And let me just jump back to my presentation. Thank you for all the participants of today's session. And tomorrow we will be in the neighborhood of Krefeld in the Rhine County, Neuss. And we look forward to see you on our last stop of the journey through the cities and regions of North Rhine-Westphalia. And don't forget, if you have any questions or inquiries or complaints or whatever, then please do contact us at our Tokyo office. And of course, also we are happy to engage you and welcome you at our Düsseldorf office, our colleague Astrid Becker and our colleague Wolfgang Janssen, who is also on the talk today. They are waiting for to be contacted by you and look forward to supporting you. それでは皆さん、1時間経ってしまいましたので、ここで本日のセッションを終了させていただきます。ご参加誠にありがとうございました。プレゼンテーションの資料はいつものようにまた我が社のホームページに載せておきますので、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。Thank you so much. Bye bye.